You remember the first episode of The Walking Dead when the sheriff accidentally turns a corner and walks into zombie land? It's kind of what this was like. But this wasn't an accident. I was here on purpose. And this isn't the end of the world, although it sure looks like it. There's nobody here. We're in Sacramento, the new heartbeat of the homeless crisis in California. It was early morning and nobody was around. I showed this clip before because it's so crazy to see a place like this so empty. Pretty sure everyone was asleep. Maybe it had been a long night. In the last video, I showed you this camp because it's a way to really see how bad the homeless problem's getting in this state's capital. But in the last video, I didn't talk about the big picture. That camp is just a fraction of what I saw the day I drove around this place. Everywhere you turn in Sacramento, you're confronted with this mess. And boy, is it a mess.
You know, like I said once before, when Kevin Johnson was mayor, I asked him, I said, why don't you come out here and look like we are? Come here for a week with a backpack and clothes on. None of your security. Come out here by yourself and you can see how we live. And he looked at me and walked off.
Welcome to Sacramento, I guess. If you've been paying attention, you'd know that the number of people living on the streets in California is way beyond a crisis now. It's so bad here now that people aren't even fazed by seeing this anymore. The homeless camps continue to grow here, and life just trudges on for everyone else who has to deal with it. It's the new normal now. The man we met earlier is the manager of a tiny camp on private property, just a few blocks from downtown. They call it a supervised safe ground. The landowners set up a nonprofit and they donated their parking lot to make this a place that homeless people can safely live. It's all fenced in, and there are rules to follow. I was told that a lot of people want to stay here, but there's little room. There's very few camps set aside for the homeless in Sacramento like that. And boy, do they need it, because this place is out of control. You don't even have to go 10 feet to see what's happening around Sacramento. Just outside this camp, I saw a guy peeing on a wall right outside this safe zone. Maybe because they didn't let him in. I don't know. I spent the whole day driving around Sacramento to see how bad things are here. Just a couple miles from downtown, I came across a small camp of people on the side of the road. The police were there, as I'm sure they are all the time. I talked to some of the people who were up here, and they said the cops are telling them they had to leave. They'll try to get these people into some kind of temporary shelter so they can get their shit in order, but usually they just straggle down the road to another place. This guy had been on the streets for 10 years now. He's been in and out of prison. He just got his Social Security, and he's hoping his sister will take him in soon.
Appreciate it, yeah, man.
They're throwing you guys out? Where are they gonna make you go?
I don't know where we gonna go.
Why now?
I don't get it. Maybe somebody trying to get somewhere in office. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
All right.
I mean, we've been here this long. I think it's gonna get rid of all of it. That's what that is.
Just a few feet away were more people who were trying to figure out their next plan. This woman's from Fresno. She came here because she says you're not allowed to camp in Fresno. I don't believe that. I was just there. So what did the police just do?
Nothing, they're cleaning the neighborhood up.
Why?
Because they're going to redo this road. They're taking out this hill and the trees and everything like that. They're scanning the road.
How long have you been out here?
Me, I've been out here 2 years.
This man's been on the streets for 40 years now. What's your plan to get out of here?
I'll be 65 years old next March. I need to get out, and I just want to get Section 8 and get it. I get SSI. I'm retired every month. But I didn't want to. I got to get something where they'll just take a third of my check. That's all.
Look inside his tent. This is how these people live. That's his kitchen area where he has a stove and a pantry. There's a lamp. I guess that generator he has is used for that. Wait, is that a shotgun? Before I left, a Meals on Wheels van pulled up. Looked like they were handing out food. That's nice. Way north of downtown is where I saw that massive homeless camp along the road. This is just nuts. It goes on for nearly a mile. I think the city's actually glad to see them in large groups like this. It makes them easier to deal with. It's unbelievable. It's everywhere here. There's a lot of homeless people in California who are here from other states. That's well known. But there's an underground practice going on here that's making this problem worse. California has all these drug treatment centers that recruit addicts in from other states. They get them in from, let's say, Oklahoma, and they give them a week of drug treatment for free, paid for by the state. Then when the state bennies run out, they throw them out into the streets. Of course, they don't have any money, and they aren't clean and sober. What's even worse is some of these drug treatment centers have set up a bounty network. If you can send them an addict, they'll send you a check. So we have these junkie bounty hunters out there recruiting addicts to come to California? The hell? That's tragic that people get paid to go out and recruit vulnerable people and take advantage of them like that. California's finally changing its tune when it comes to its approach to housing. They've passed new laws to try to get developers to build more affordable housing, even in parts of town that were no-build zones, like neighborhoods. And some people aren't very happy about that. They probably won't actually build the affordable housing, though. The developers usually just want to build units that actually make a lot of money. In case you didn't know, California has mismanaged its funding worse than a third grader would. Cities all over the state have overpromised affordable housing plans. Nothing ever gets done. Oakland says it spent $80 million on homeless last year, but doesn't even know if the money actually did anything. My God. LA does the same thing. Billions of dollars have been wasted in the state trying to fix this mess. It's so bad now that the governor's threatening to pull funding from cities because they just can't manage it correctly. There goes your allowance. Go to your room. Let's be honest, building 3,000 homes is the state's lofty goal, and that's just a tiny fraction they need to give everybody out here a home. Because there's like 125,000 homeless people here now. They're never going to get there. Why is there such a huge spike in homelessness right now in Sacramento?
Nobody has nowhere to go. Simple as that. You're either camping out on the street or you're camping out in the river. You know, people have no place to go, and then, you know, your income ain't gonna help you get in. Unless you know somebody that's gonna reach your room, but other than that, your income is your income. And like I said, you know, you gotta fight somewhere to go. Food, shelter, it's cold. So you just gotta fight where you need to go. And, you know, at this point, you know, the mayor, governor, and whoever else dealing with this, they're not putting their foot down. They're only doing it halfway and want everybody else to finish the rest of it. You know, if you're the mayor or the governor, help the homeless. Don't help the homeless for so much and then you have no more money.
What do you want them to do? What would they do? Like,
they need to put the homeless in somewhere. I mean, that's mental or non-mental. You got people out here on the streets that need help. You can't give help if you don't know what's going on.
He mentioned the river. I did hear that a ton of homeless people were camped out along the Sacramento River. I didn't have the time or the energy to comb through all this brush, but I did spot several areas near a state park where people are living. From what I hear, there are hundreds of people camped out along this river throughout Sacramento, but no one knows how many people are out here. The south side of downtown's a real mess. All over the place, there's long stretches of road like this where people have moved in. In a lot of places in Sacramento, you turn a corner and it looks like a big flea market or a salvage yard's just been plopped down in the middle of the neighborhood. Drive around Sacramento long enough and You'll see just about everything you think you'd see if you were looking for it. Trash, tents, poop on the streets, people having sex in broad daylight, people shooting up drugs on the sidewalk. To be honest, after a while, all these little side-of-the-road villages, they all start to look the same. To me, the most depressing side of this is all the little neighborhoods around downtown. All over the center of town, they just really clean neighborhoods with well-maintained homes. I think Sacramento's downtown neighborhoods are some of the nicest downtowns I've seen. There's little pockets with small businesses and people all seem to know each other. There's a Target here and everything. But everywhere you go in these neighborhoods now, there's a tent or a sleeping bag or pee or trash. This is the part of town I stayed for the night, and I walked around here a lot. I don't think I walked a block without seeing somebody sleeping on the street. Sometimes it was just a person laying on the sidewalk, or you'll see little groups of tents right outside of apartments or condos or somebody's family home. And all of this blocks from the state capitol building. I wonder how frustrated the residents in this part of town are. Can you imagine if somebody was living on your doorstep like this? And it's so interesting how people feel a piece of fabric so thin can protect or isolate them from everyone else. It's hard to get off the streets in an expensive place like Sacramento. If you have an eviction record, you ain't getting a room. If you don't have 3 months of rent up front, you're not getting a room. If you show up looking all dirty and homeless, you can bet they ain't renting to you. No way. Most landlords want you to show a track record of making good money. To rent a decent place in Sacramento, you'd have to make like $6,000 a month. That's not happening for these people. No way. And when these people need help, they're told to call a number, like 211. Then they give you another number to call, and when you call that number, they give you another number to call. It's frustrating for these people to get the runaround all the time. Although it needs to be emphasized that most of these people chose this life. They might regret that they chose to live outside like this, but most of them are here because of decisions they made at some point along the way. In LA and in San Diego, there were so many homeless people downtown that you can't even walk around entire districts. But surprisingly, downtown Sacramento doesn't have too many camps. I mean, there's people lying on the streets down here, but it's not that bad. At least when I was here. Maybe that's why they're scattered throughout the city everywhere. They just don't let them group up in this part of town. While I was driving around, I came across a woman who was panhandling at a freeway off-ramp. You see this all over, so I didn't really pay much attention until I saw her sign, and it said, "Pregnant. Anything helps." What's your sign say?
Pregnant, anything helps.
Pregnant?
Yes.
You're pregnant?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's not your fault.
What's your plan to get out of here?
I'm not sure yet. I signed up for aid and everything, but it takes like a month for you to get an appointment with them, so that was the first thing I was trying to do.
Are you hiding? Because I saw you
I thought I saw a cop coming up this way.
Cops don't let you do this?
No. If they catch you, they'll give you a ticket. I've already gotten a ticket before, and I don't want to go to jail for signing.
All right, well, good luck. I'm sorry you're pregnant. So, do they just not have enough places to put homeless people, or like?
There's enough places, there's enough land out here to go put a homeless camp out there. You know, they put that high rise on North 12th and 7th Street at the light. You can make that to a homeless camp. It's out of sight, out of mind. But you want to put a high rise. You know, then, so now you're really chasing homeless away. Homeless are in the river. They're kicking everybody off the river now too, with the new law that came through. So nobody has nowhere to go. If you got a car, you're sleeping in your car, or you're sleeping in somebody's porch, somebody's piece of property.
So is it just a cost of living thing? It's just too expensive for people to afford rent and shit now?
Yeah, too much, way too much. You know, I'm barely surviving, but I'm surviving.
Did you ever think you'd end up homeless?
No. I do this. I'm 50. I had my 30th birthday out here.
You been out here 20 years?
I've been here less than 20. I had my 30th birthday out here. Got indoors. Some things happen. So that puts me back out here, but I have to do what I have to do to survive. And all I can do is go from there with it.
California is now the 4th largest economy in the world, people. The governor of this state, inside that building, just announced that California has a state surplus of nearly $100 billion. I don't know how this state plans to spend that. I bet a lot of that money will be wasted away. But I know there's a lot of people out here who would love to get their hands on some of that dough. I drove around some of the areas that you told me about. First of all, I do like Sacramento a lot. I feel like the downtown is a really neat place. And the neighborhoods that surround Sacramento are really neat, nice and clean and well maintained. I don't see neighborhoods that close to a downtown that are that nice usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually. I was on the north end. Now, maybe there's other parts of downtown with bad neighborhoods that I didn't see, but I spent a lot of my time kind of on the north and east side of downtown, and I thought it was pretty nice.
Yeah, there are some really nice. You have some super, super nice Fab 40s, multi-million-dollar homes. And then you have some not so nice things, but downtown is it is pretty nice downtown.
Yeah. And I didn't see a lot of homeless folks in the downtown area. Now I did see, which was kind of sad, a lot of those neighborhoods I walked around on the north end, you couldn't go a block without seeing people camping and kind of just there. How frustrated are people in Sacramento about all this?
I live in the suburbs, so up here is not so bad. We do have them around, and they have gotten a little bit worse because they have a new law out that they're taking them away from the river, and so now they're all migrating into the neighborhoods, so I've been seeing more of them. I live probably 25 miles away from downtown, and I've been here 22 years. There was nobody 22 years ago. Now I can't drive a block without seeing one. They're trying to clean it up, and mostly they hide under the freeways. There's a lot of camping going on under the freeway areas, and I don't really see them so much in the downtown area. Once in a while you'll see one kind of around, but they like to go under the freeway. They like to hide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I guess we're just getting used to it. We're getting acclimated to this is just the way it is. I
know, and that's what people are becoming desensitized.
Exactly.
It's like you walk around neighborhoods and you're just stepping over it. And before, like in the old days, it would have been like, oh my gosh, there's a person on the ground. Do you need help? And now it's just like, oh, somebody else is just laying on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's true.
I talked to some homeless people in Sacramento, and I know how they feel about the mess, but I wanted to know what the average citizen of Sacramento feels about things.
Well, I'm not a Sacramento citizen. Like I said, I'm a good 25 miles away from that area, so I'm not sure I can speak to that, but I am in the Sacramento area. Everybody I talk to, it's obviously frustrating. We wish something would get done. If they need help, there's help out there for them. So I'm not sure what we can do anymore. We're just, like I said, we're so used to it. It's just an everyday situation.
Mm-hmm. Do people there feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better, or how does everybody think things are going to go?
Like I said, they put in this new bill. So we have rivers here. We have American River, Sacramento River. It's very beautiful parkway. It's some of it is Parks and Rec maintained area, federal maintained area, and a lot of the homeless were living by the river, which was they were more isolated there, and now they're getting them out of the river, and so now they're headed into the suburbs, so we're seeing more of them. We have a lot of fires here in California, so they were trying to eliminate having them near the river because there's a lot of fires being started around those homeless camp areas. So they're just being pushed out into more of the suburbs, and that's why we're seeing them more out here.
What do you think the solution should be? What do you want everybody to do?
I I don't. I wish a lot of people are moving. I own a business here, and I would say in the last 12 months, I have had at least 15 of my clients leave to other states. That's a really popular choice. Headed for a lot of people are moving from the city area to more rural areas out here because you head 35, 40 miles. We have super like it's just country. You won't have a neighbor. So a lot of people are opting for that also.
So people are just moving out, and I imagine businesses are being impacted by all this.
Oh, for sure. Like there's the area where you went to. I don't know if you saw in the news. There was a Starbucks and a Jamba Juice and I think a bagel place over there, and they had to just like flat out close it because the restrooms. No one can use a restroom anymore because we don't know what's in there, and a lot of shops are closing near where the places where the homeless people are dwelling. They're just having to shut down those businesses over there by the freeway. Yeah.
I know. I was in San Diego. I was in Los Angeles. I was in San Jose, and just large, giant homeless camps. I went to one up on the north end of Sacramento, and I don't know if you've seen this kind of on the outskirts, but it goes on for about a mile alongside the road, and it's just RVs, burned out cars, pallet structures. It looks like a zombie land up there.
I know. I don't wish I had an answer. I don't. Outside of moving, like, I don't know what else we can do.
So in general, how has Sacramento changed since you've been in that? How long have you been in the area?
I've lived in this area for 22 years.
Okay. How has Sacramento changed, good and bad? This was my first time going to Sacramento, so I had no perspective on how it used to be, unlike some of the other cities I went to. But how do you feel the city's changed?
Well, a lot of people, if you move to Sacramento, definitely people, once you have a family, I find that most people tend to head to the suburbs after having children and a family. They get out of the city and they want more land and room for their kids to play and whatnot. And 22 years ago, I can't, not that they weren't there, but I can't remember it being a problem 22 years ago. And it's just gotten a little bit like worse, and now we just have to be really aware, and it's just kind of become commonplace. And I would say on the plus side, we have more businesses going in. Sacramento's becoming a much busier place. It's more affordable. People from the Bay Area are coming here in droves. I mean, the median house price in the Bay Area is like 1.2 million. You can still get a really nice home here in Sacramento for, $500,000 to $600,000. You can. So some people are commuting to the Bay Area from here. The suburbs are sprawling. Like I said, I'm 25 miles away, and where I live, it's just new construction like crazy. And there's some really great places in Sacramento. There's some really great places to raise your family. It's really pretty. We have, it does get warm, it does get cold. It's a good place to raise your family. Just have to be careful, especially when you go downtown.
I didn't feel downtown was that bad. I've been to a lot of bad places. I wandered around all night. It was pretty quiet. Now it was on a Sunday night, so it wasn't, when there'd be a lot of people out, I guess normally. But I thought it was kind of nice. Did I miss something? Should I have gone to a different part of town to see the seedy side?
I don't know. I guess I just don't go to those places very often. Yeah. Once you live in the suburbs for a long time, you don't go downtown for a lot. Maybe a night out on the town, maybe a concert, but if you live in the suburbs, it's not something you go on a daily basis to. You don't go downtown on a daily basis. So I'm not sure. I haven't been down there much in the last, year or so. I think I've been downtown maybe 5 or 6 times. Everything. That's the other thing about Sacramento, because the suburbs are now so sprawling. A lot of the things that we would have normally had to go downtown for, we're able to get them out here now. Like everything's building up, and there's a lot out here, so there's not really a need to go down for that, unless, like I said, there's a concert or a special event going downtown.
I try when I go to a place I've never been to try to see the really awesome part of town and the really bad part of town, so I get perspective on how bad a place really is. And the parts of the east side and south side, I mean, I saw some shady areas. There was a part of the north end that was totally shady. But overall, it wasn't as bad. Believe me, I've seen places that are just a complete disaster, and I kind of like Sacramento. I didn't think I would.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's really good to know.
Yeah. I mean, you're not in a position any different than any other cities in California dealing with the homeless problem. I do think it's going to get worse. I don't know if there's an end in sight. The plans never seem to fall through. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. But y'all have a pretty good thing going right now. Is you just figure out how to get these people in an area that everybody can get back to their normal lives. You know what I mean?
Right. I know. That'd be great. If you think of anything, let me know.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know what the solution is. That's a humane way to do it, because they're clearly not going to be able to build houses. And I don't think that's fair for the people that own a home to, in my opinion, to build everybody a house that wants a house. I mean, at some point, who's going to want to work, right? Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.